Recording has started. So, how you doing, my man, Mr. Grant Lancaster, City Wing King?
I'm good, Frederick. How you feel?
I'm all right, man. Making it happen.
As usual.
Last time it was you and I on the show. It was really funny. I did that as a lost episode, by the way, because we did kind of lose our way towards the end.
A little bit.
Required a little bit of editing, but it's it's up on YouTube exclusively.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to check that out, and tonight it's you and I and Mr. Andrew Johnson. If Andrew gets here, we had technical difficulties with the other app. I was trying to use the Soundcaster, and that didn't work. We had the normal results of that, and now I'm back on Google, and we're live.
Yes, sir.
We're live, B. Big shout out to Mr. Brooks with the good looks, who's out there working and slaving for the man this evening.
Always.
And you know what, Rob? You better watch your mouth. I bet you Rob won't be getting many booties in that booth tonight. That's a little inside joke. There'll be no booty pinching in the. Well, I'm not gonna. I don't even want to break it down that much. And who knows? Rob could get in trouble. Somebody could like.
Yeah. Look, in this climate.
He's doing
in this climate. Puff got everybody on edge.
Puff does everybody on edge, don't he? Really, really does. He really, really does.
Man.
Captivating the whole society of the United States. That shit was funny as hell last night with Cameron. I didn't see it live because, of course, I'm not watching the news. I'm not interested in that bullshit. What they're saying as news, But did you see that shit with Cameron? You saw it? You didn't see that? Cameron went on with who's that? Abby Phillip. That's her name. I know her name now. But show. And she was like, so what's up with Puff? What's the stuff that you had heard about Puff? Is you close to Mace or whatever? And he's like, man, I don't even know what you're talking about. He was like, why they put me on this show asking me about this particular thing? Why can't I get on he's like, he just basically he clowned it out. And people got mad at him because he wasn't like dropping receipts. They want him to drop dimes and everything. And and he was like, nah, he kept it a buck. He's like, nah, not involved.
Yeah. I ain't mad at that.
You're not mad at that?
I ain't mad. Nah, not at all. I mean, look, you never know. You never know. He maybe he doesn't know.
I'm sure.
And if he does know, maybe he just feels it ain't. Well, clearly he feels it ain't on him to say it.
Right. It's not his. It's not his business. It's not his. Yeah. He kind of he made it a big joke, and some people are mad at him. But I'm like, yo, check it out.
Who put me on this show?
That shit is like, yeah. He's like, why they book me for this? He's like, he said, I'm doing all these other things. He's like, Maze is out here. He's like counseling kids every day at 5:00, no matter what, to them on the phone, bringing them up. He's like, we've got all these great, foundations that we're supporting and we're moving forward. And you want to basically put me on CNN about Puff greasing up another man's booty.
Right.
And it's like that, or whatever, or the alleged, it's like the same thing I said last week when I went on my rant. I'm like, no matter what, that's his business. It's a personal thing, whatever. As long as it's consensual. The other stuff, what came out with Cassie this week, I mean, come on. We didn't know that happened.
Look,
that happened.
It's here's the thing. It's like when the video came out with Ray Rice. You already knew Ray Rice had beat up his girlfriend,
Right.
But then when you saw him give her that, I don't get that uppercut. I mean, it just puts a different spin on it. You know, the visual always makes it worse.
Yeah. So I mean, don't nobody care though. That's on the news at 9:30. Like to me it's like, listen, I know it's bad. I know it's celebrities, but it's 9 o'clock in the entire United States of America. You mean the only thing that they have to pull time with is to put there's a presidential election coming up in a couple of months. You got Israel and Palestine going on. You've got all these kids getting arrested for protesting on these places. You've got all these illegals that are in the country and the people interacting with them and what's going on. And you got 10 minutes for Cameron at 9:30 prime time to talk about some alleged shit and some alleged shit.
Sex sells, baby.
Is that sex?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if it's sex as much as gossip.
Well, but it's gossip about sex, though.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, sex sells, man. I mean, and it's it's salacious, man. It's juicy, And then this TMZ, inside of Hollywood, Wendy Williams, you know what I mean? Like in this climate where everybody, just want to be first with the story. But it ain't even so much about being right with the story, but it's being first. You got to put these things out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not talking about whether or not, because I'm definitely not talking about whether or not it's right, wrong, relevant, whatever. I am talking about the relevance though.
Yeah.
It's really that's my issue because it's 9 o'clock. Apparently it's sometime between 9 and 10 when this occurred, maybe 10 and 11 in America at the one of the biggest news 24-hour newsstands things. Shit, they might as well be showing fucking police chases in LA.
Mm-hmm.
You might as well be showing a police chase.
Yeah, but what are you getting people to watch though? If you talking about the election, do you really think people are gonna watch that? Are people gonna watch the election coverage, or are they gonna watch Cameron possibly reveal some new shit about Puff that we didn't know?
Yeah. Well, there is no election coverage if we keeping it real. This is like the quietest election ever. It's because you got one guy, because it's like really what it comes down to is you got one guy who's shitting his diapers going against another guy who's shitting his diapers. And neither of them are feeling going out on the campaign trail. They can't show how weak they are on a daily basis. It's not one is weaker than the other. It's like you can't like argue the virility of each guy of either guy. Neither one of them is very virile.
If this ain't the biggest joke in the history of America, that you telling me that the best candidate that both parties can put out there are 80 plus?
Yeah.
Come on, son.
And shitting their diapers.
Come on, son.
And shitting
Where's that Ed Lover clip? Come on, son.
Come on, son. You know what, bro? I'm like listening to this. Like there was a guy that came at me like just last week and everything, and he was talking about this like everything was a talking point and everything, and he wanted to argue like these policies, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, this motherfucker don't even realize like I don't associate with either one of those groups.
Mm-hmm.
And we are like, and what it really is a 10-year age gap makes such a difference in your learning cycle in this world. And I'm gonna break it down like because at this time I was thinking about what it was like when I was a kid to watch coverage of the primary between Bush and Reagan when Reagan won and Carter just like basically trying to hold his head together and how they were like giant crowds of unions. And you're from Detroit. You understand that what that was, what that power and what that money was in Detroit in the 1970s. And that was America.
Yeah.
That was really America. It was black and white and Hispanic. It didn't really matter as much because they were all workers fighting for wages and trying to get money. And this was like the great big, this was like, that was everything that it was. And I remember my parents and my mother like asking my mother about it because I was so curious as a little kid, as a little boy. And what she told me in the synopsis was just that we don't trust Whitey, no matter what. We're not, it's like, even if I voted for this guy or if I was going to vote for this guy, he's not going to do everything for me. He's not going to solve my problems. Your father's going to solve our problems. You know, I'm going to solve your problems. That White House guy, he didn't solve the problem. And in context text with that, I was looking at Twitter. I was listening to this guy and I was looking at Twitter and I was like, look at all these black people like really like stumping for white Jesus, a white savior. And wanting to argue and engage about which one is better. When it gets you involved with their fandom, it's just weird, bro. It's weird. It's not at all what my parents taught me. And I was watching the show, and the show was saying like something similar to that. That we always had an understanding that some people are cool and everything, but you have to get to know them to find out that they're cool. But you didn't just trust people on their. What do you think about that?
So I think that we have we meaning American Africans, we have become Americans, right? So we've bought in, by and large, we've bought into to what America is. You know what I mean? So the skepticism that we once had maybe is not there. The vitriol that we had is not there anymore, because it's from you talking 50 years from the 70s, right? You're talking about 50 years that have gone by, and you've seen a black president, you've seen multi millionaires and billionaires and all this thing, all that, black people have done all types of stuff. But unfortunately, those are still the anomaly. You know what I mean? Those are the one-offs. They're not the norm. But we love those one-offs, right? And we think, we just a dollar and a dream away from being that ourselves. So we bought into the whole shit. So now there isn't that mistrust of the government as much as it used to be. There isn't that, all hands on deck for black folk. That cry ain't there. That community piece that we once had is now gone, because our community has become a part of America's community.
And America is worried about what happened with Puff,
right?
Video, and when
exactly
I have these conversations. Here comes Andrew Johnson. Thank you from the 313 podcast for showing up this evening.
Brother Andrew,
when you get a chance and you unmute your mic, say hi. I'm just going to keep going with this thought right now, which was something that I talked about last week when I did my show myself. I did a show by myself because I wanted to just elaborate and get some things off of my chest that I was thinking about. And one of the things that I had seen was, I don't know if I had sent you the article, but since 2000, the GDP has lost $16 trillion due to the discrimination against African Americans. This is a study that was done by Citigroup here, and that was through educational and lending. By disparate lending and by not lending equitably, but based upon race, the entire economy lost $16 trillion. That's jobs for people. And what some people say is that they don't care about those jobs because those are jobs for quote unquote black people, because they see it as if a black person would have gotten that loan, ideally that black person is going to do the same thing that our community does. If you're Asian, they usually hire within the Asian community. Italian community, white community. So that's okay. But this was just basically called blew the whistle on it, disallowed. And this is what we're fighting against with diversity, equity, and inclusion. The equity piece of it. That's the part that really matters because that's the money. So to what you just said just a moment ago about us being Americans and us having to board into this whole system, it's just that these pieces of the system that haven't bought into us.
Well, yeah, because there was no plan for us, right? We were brought here as labor,
Right.
and then once slavery was abolished, okay, now what? We can't send them back to Africa.
Right.
So what do we do with them?
There's really no plan. We already know that. And what we do know, if there is a plan, the plan is the absolute opposite. Absolute opposite. And what that would be is that we're looking to get rid of the equity piece of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Andrew Johnson, host of the 313. We were having a conversation earlier before we lost you, and you were stating something about the show that we had done on your podcast, that it had some type of a reaction from people.
Yes, the Son Husbands episode we recorded, a few women reached out to me and said, it made them cry. So they are sharing it with some of their friends, realizing that, maybe what they were doing, maybe feeling a little bit of a level of guilt, maybe, or maybe not, subconsciously not realizing what they were doing. So it's reaching a bigger, more people are, they're sharing it with other people. I'm guessing single mothers.
That's great. I think that's great. Grant, what were you think?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think it's wonderful, man. I think it's, because it easily could have came off as like a negative, like against single mothers kind of deal. And I think we all did our level best to make sure that we kept saying, that's not what this is. This is just kind of us stating, like looking at what we see and talking about it.
And what we've experienced.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly speaking, it's like when you're talking about that, I've always felt like it's always been in the best interest of the kids. And that's what you should be thinking about. You shouldn't be thinking about your exes or boyfriends. I was speaking with Mr. Brooks today, and he's going through a situation. I can't really say what he's going through because it's not my place to say. And also it involves his JOB and everything. But let's just say it's one of those situations where perception has reared its ugly head. And in some ways for better, in some ways for worse. Because we all know that in this world today, there's a lot of misogyny. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also at the same time, there's an overreach towards that misogyny. There's a I want to say like a rush to punish more than correct. Then
it's bullying. It's bullying.
Right. And this is why, like, when we have these conversations and when I speak to you about this, exactly what you said, it's bullying. I've always been, one of the things I always say about myself is I've always been conscious of not becoming my oppressor. That is where I begin my day, to not become my oppressor. Now, that doesn't mean that at certain points I'm going to be completely nonviolent and not like punch one of my oppressors if they get out of line, or aggress them in a way that's like appropriate. But we're all looking to avoid these types of confrontations. Am I right?
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're all looking to it. So it's like in my quest to not become like my oppressors, it's kind of like it sets a level for me, a tone for me where I know where I'm getting past, where I'm getting to a point where I'm getting outside of myself. And that's part of the things when you're going through these things and you're in these fights in these relationships, men and women, we get outside of ourselves with the arguments and with the things, with the rhetoric, and then sometimes with the actions. And that's when things go wrong. So at a certain point, you've got to take a L or be willing to, bring that masculinity down so you don't end up in a worse situation and everything. Or is it that toxin femininity at that point?
Well, go ahead, Grant.
I was just gonna say, I think it's kind of it's somewhere in the middle, because it all boils down to, in my mind, it all boils down to having someone to point the finger at. Yes. Right? That's what it boils down to. So when when women talk about misogyny, right? Don't talk to me about misogyny, because I can't do anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, I can't hold you back from doing anything. You know what I mean? Like, that's not where I am. But you talk to me about it because you can't talk to, Harvey Weinstein about it. Who has actually, you know what I'm saying?
Practitioner.
Right. Yeah. But you can talk to me about it because I'm here. But I don't want to hear that shit.
Right. Because you're not the practitioner.
Right.
It's like you walking into a store and the security clerk saying to you, hey, you know what I'm saying? You don't be stealing in the store today.
Right.
And you got all your money in your pocket and cards or whatever, and you're not even thinking about it. But just because of the fact that you're there and then you're in that space, they choose you.
Mm-hmm.
At the profile.
And low key, now that you said something, now I'm pissed off. I may try some shit.
Right, prove their theory.
Yeah.
Like, Andrew, what were you gonna say? What were you gonna add?
Well, no, I was just gonna say, if you're looking at it from a DEI perspective, what you were saying earlier is, I taught DEI for 10 years. And the first time I remember teaching it, the down here, after I taught the class and I pointed out a few things, this woman came up to me and she said, I didn't know you spoke that well. And I was like, well, what did you think I was going to do? Speak Ebonics?
Right.
I mean, of course. I mean, why would I be teaching a class if I didn't speak well? But she was shocked. And I think the point was that she's not used to seeing someone who looks like me essentially be intelligent or speaking intelligent. Not to say I had this high IQ or anything, but able to communicate in an intelligent manner. And this is what part of the problem is. I was down here and I went to get a loan for a vehicle. Right. And I went to the bank to get the loan for the vehicle. And when I was applying for the loan, they had no idea what my credit score was or anything. When I was applying for the loan, they literally told me, they said, you might have to put up some collateral. And I said, for a car loan? And they said, well, yes, if after we run your credit score, we'll see, but do you have some collateral that you can put up? And I says, I don't think I need any, but I do if I need some. So they put in an application. I said, I'll come back once the credit is ran because I got to go somewhere. I came back about an hour later. When I walked in, the manager brought me into her office. And she says, you're approved for the car. Don't worry about the collateral or anything. I also see that you have another car loan with another bank. Do you want to switch it to this bank over here? But she made a stereotype. They just saw me. I was black. I was wearing t-shirt and jeans, and they just assumed I had bad credit.
Mm-hmm.
Without even running my score and asking for collateral. I never put out collateral. I've never had every car that I've ever purchased. I never had to put up collateral, and I never had great credit when I was younger. But I never had to put up anything with collateral or anything. I was shocked to even hear that. But I think it's because I was here. And so but that's more common here than it would be where you guys are at right now.
I'm not so sure about that as much as I mean, I can imagine that the jump to the assumption based upon where you are. I don't know what area of the state you're in, but what it says, what it does say to me and everything, like I always tell you, like I watch these older shows, and today I was watching The Facts of Life. You know,
Nice.
I was watching The Facts of Life, and I watched it with Tootie when Tootie was on roller skates.
Yeah.
And Molly Ringwald was on the show.
Right.
And
And
you know it, yeah.
oh yeah, Molly Ringwald was on the show too. And they had the episode where Tootie's dad came in, and he was a high-powered attorney, and her mom was a high-powered attorney. Mom wasn't there, but he was coming to basically see her, speak to them for Parents' Day, and then he was going to. He found out that Tootie wanted to open up a hair salon, and he was like, "Ah, hell no, I'm not sending my black daughter here, so that way she can open up Shanae's here at the end of the show." But the reason why I mentioned it is that the way that the characters interacted with him, it wasn't like as if those rich girls at that school were seeing a successful black attorney for the first time. They were interacting with him as if it was expected. They've seen him before. It wasn't,
Right.
a first and only thing. You see, so now this group of people, so that was like 19, like what, 80, 80, 81.
Yeah.
Yeah. 80s.
Yeah, that was early 80s.
And that's accepted perception that you may see a black attorney. And if you watch these shows, there are black police officers, black attorneys, black store owners. They may not be the main characters, but they're integrated in there, just like everyone else. And it's not the
Mhm.
first. You got somebody holding up a sign saying it's the first black attorney that's ever sent his daughter to like this all lily white school and everything. The perception is what you experience today in that car dealership. That's the reason why I mention it, because
Sure.
they don't even show those shows anymore. And anyone who's watching those shows, it's only an old crodger like me who wants to pretend he's like 10 years old again and watching the television show for the first time. So their perception of you and being the first, and I was watching Smokey and the Bandit the other day, and it was so funny. They had the scene when Buford T. Justice
Yeah. Yeah.
runs
Mhm.
black police officer. Yeah, I am the sheriff here.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
and the black sheriff is in the car with the white guy, and he's saying, I don't care who your daddy is, or who your uncle is. If you wreck this car, it's coming at your paycheck. Expected, normal interaction. It wasn't all black, all white. It wasn't all peppered with color and racism. It wasn't peppered with everything or with anything. It just was. Now we have a generation of kids that think that this is just happening we've all been super duper oppressed all this time, and nobody has ever achieved anything or made it out. Nobody has ever fucking went out and did their own thing. And really, that's just symptomatic of a bigger goal. What's happening in the black community is just symptomatic of what's happening on a bigger scale with all communities. And they can't see it because they're too busy stumping for white saviors who are shitting their diapers. And if all you really have to do is say, unless it's someone who, the only people that can say they're rooting for someone who isn't shitting his diapers are the people who are supporting Kennedy. Everybody else, if you're a Democrat or Republican, you're rooting for a guy who's shitting his diapers.
Mm.
And you're stumping for him. You're fighting with more virility and energy than they have in one day. How many 80-year-old motherfuckers do you know that are going out there running 5 miles, coming back home, fucking the shit out of their wives, and then writing new treaties to save the free world?
But you know what though? See, I have a theory on it to an extent when you're looking at it from that standpoint. Is, you know, if you're, I don't want, I guess I don't mind the president necessarily, or a president being a little bit older, in the sense that at least I know, like using Joe Biden as an example, he's got over 50 years of experience. Now, does that mean that that makes him a great president? No, but it just simply means that I don't care if he can barely walk down the street without tripping over himself or something, you know, because we've had presidents in wheelchairs. We've had presidents in all kind of different, you know, scenarios. I don't, you know, it's what that person knows and what they're capable of doing. I don't, the best presidents I think that you can have is ones that you don't hear a whole lot about, that there's not a lot of press on. You don't hear no scandals, you don't hear any of that stuff. And with that, when you see that, you know, if they're just on there doing their job, that's what you should want. I don't want the exciting guy, the charismatic guy, always to be the president, because he's more of a figurehead type, because he doesn't really know what he's doing in a lot of situations.
Well, you're describing, if you're talking about the two old guys, and one of them is more charismatic than the other and everything, because he is, you know, Donald Trump is a dynamic figure. He's exciting. He's grabbing them by the hoo-ha. You know, same thing that's causing us all problems in this world is grabbing them by the hoo-ha, but he's doing it. He's doing it the right way. And that's what's important. Ask any woman out there. You see how little sense this shit makes? That's my whole
Yeah.
You know, I just think if a person likes somebody, or they don't care what that person did. You know, I've learned something. I've been listening to some people talk. I've caught so many people in lies just teaching DEI about certain things they said, about certain things they believe. And then I just talked to this one dude one time. I said to him, I says, you know, I think it won't, the person you're talking about, it wouldn't make a difference what he did. You still would vote for him. It wouldn't matter, because you bought in. So it's not going to really make a difference. But my initial argument was that they were in the last presidential election, and you're starting to see it in this one too, is that the Republicans are basically targeting black males, and they're doing it through the lowest common denominator, the lowest hanging fruit, and that is by talking about sexual things. You know, so that's where they're going.
Grant, do you have something you want to say on that? Because I definitely have something I want to say about that.
No, I think that I mean, I agree. You know, you got it, but it's because you got to hit people where they are. You know what I mean? Like that just kind of circles back to the whole puff thing. You know, you talking about it's about sex.
All right, so let me find out. Let me find out exactly where you guys are. Okay, I saw a post on Twitter today from a very serious white guy. Maybe he might have maybe he works at that car dealership you went to, Andrew. What he said Jay-Z said he's voting for Trump. What's her name? Who's the Cardi B? Cardi B says she's not voting for Biden. He listed like a lot of these different like rappers and stuff. Lil Wayne said he's voting for Trump. He supports Trump and everything. So with all of these like black people, like Andrew, Grant, why are you not convinced that voting for Trump is the right thing to do? All your fucking favorite rappers with felonies jail times, and #1 hits, Rick Ross, they're all voting for Trump. So why
So
aren't they voting for Trump? You know,
at their financial level, they should be voting for Trump.
listen, Jesse Jackson is barely alive. Is Jesse Jackson still alive?
Yeah.
He's still alive, right?
Mhm.
He's
He's still alive.
He's not giving any endorsements. You know, where are your black leaders?
Well, it's still early though. It's still a little early, John. You probably, if you get in more in the summer, you'll probably see some more endorsements come out, but
these
not just gonna matter.
Well, my point is though, this supposedly intelligent white gentleman was saying that because all of these rappers and moguls that are now under indictment, a lot of them that were at Diddy parties, that could be the reason why they're voting for Trump, because Diddy done sold some tape of them doing some stuff to Trump, and now they belong to Trump. You know?
How do you move to 85? You move to 85 with what's popular.
The rappers.
Right. So you put out there that these rappers that make way more money. So like Chappelle semi talked about it in one of his specials. He was like, he was at the polls last whatever election Trump ran. He was at the polls, and it was just, he was in Ohio, bunch of white folks, and they talking about, yeah, Trump's gonna get down there and fight for us. And Chappelle was like, man, you gotta be a stupid motherfucker.
Right.
He fighting for me. I'm the rich one in this equation.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, have you ever heard? You not know what that quote by Lyndon B. Johnson? I don't know it exactly, but he basically said when it came to white males that as long, and this is a paraphrasing of it, he says you can take every dollar in their pocket as long as you convince them that they are above a black man. You can take every dime out of their pocket. And that's what you see a lot. And the thing with black people, black people, some of the males think that they're going to be that rapper one day. So they think that they're going to eventually, the 50 Cent saying, get rich or die trying. And the saying is he got rich and they're going to die trying because everybody ain't going to be rich. But they're holding out hope that one day it's going to be them. So if you see a rapper out there saying all these different things about Trump isn't that bad, all this nonsense, if you see that, like Grant said, they're rich. You can't compare their situation with, an average everyday dude, say, working at UPS.
But unfortunately they do. And that's where the disconnect comes in. Like, to me, I can't listen, if you're a black person and you're gonna vote for Trump, that's cool. You go ahead and you do that and everything. But just stop telling me to fuck about it. Because like you don't look smarter. It's like one of those things where you open up your mouth and you may be thought a fool, but then you open up your mouth and you prove that you're a fool. It's one of those type of situations. You're making your points and you're doing what you're doing, but it's like it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's like I think what it was I came to the realization, like I was telling you before, Grant, earlier. I came to the realization as to what it is that really bothers me about black Trump supporters. And it's my mama. Because my mama was just like, basically like, yo, listen, you deal with whatever it is, but you got to always pay attention to them. You never support them blindly because they don't have any love for you. Ultimately, then they don't have any love for you. That's what it comes down to. Don't come here and tell me some shit that I don't possibly know. Like this week, before I even forget, I want to give a shout out to my cousins right now out there, the Dawsons out there in New Jersey, Newark. I'll see you this weekend. My aunt Idonia passed away. And this is another link to another long time. They grew up on a farm, essentially sharecropping. So my family fed those families, fed other families for a very long time. And Some of them went to wars, some of them are in law enforcement, some of them in different municipalities, some of them are college provosts, all these different things, all the way up and down, from the good to the bad. But the point is, though, God bless her. God bless, like, my Aunt Idonia right now. May she rest in peace. But we don't put in work for this world, for this country, more so than a lot of y'all could ever even speak about. Food on your table. Food on your table. What's more American than that? But from those lessons came, don't trust them. Don't stump for them. Make them prove it. Make them give you something. Make them give you something. And these messages, they're just lost in, Jay-Z supports Trump. If that's true, I don't know if that's true or not, but
I'm not sure if that's true or not. I know that Jay-Z is close, I won't say close, but with Obama, and I'm pretty sure Obama might have schooled him on what the politics of it, but I don't, not to say that Jay-Z ain't gonna make up his own mind, but I don't believe that.
I'm not saying that he does. I guess I used it as an example as to, like, that's all that they really want to barrel it down to. They feel like if they can get the Jay-Z vote, if you can get the Cardi B vote, you get the Loose Moms vote, then that's enough.
Yeah.
And these people playing games, and what they're doing is serious. And what you're doing is playing with it. You're playing with it, and it's serious. Listen, I'm going to always do what I got to do. I don't think this ain't a show. This may be a show that the 85s can listen to, but there ain't no 85s on the show. So I'm pretty sure that y'all niggas got your surfboard, your sailboard, your sailboats, or your yachts, whatever it is, your helicopters, whatever it is that you're needing right now. So it's like the show isn't about me. Just like, when we were talking about them kids the other day on your show, it wasn't about us. It wasn't about, like, it's not about, like, beating, like you said it best. It's not about beating up moms. It's like, sometimes it's like those hard truths are what you need to hear in order for you to move forward in life. Because I just want to win. I just want people to win. But if you don't win, I can't believe what you say, Glenn. I can't believe that we stuck at 85. I want to get to 80 or 79. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Yeah. I would love to, but I think the circumstances just kind of are what they are. It's hard to turn the Titanic, man. It's a slow turn. It ain't a 90-degree boy. And not everybody's in the same place mentally at the same time. So certain things hit some people and they miss others completely. When that light comes on, it comes on for some, not all.
Yeah. Well,
but I'll say this: I don't see Trump getting more than, say, 50% of the black vote. I mean, that's probably where he's going to peak out at, and then he's going to also probably lose some white vote. So it's probably going to balance out and be the similar type of a race as it was in 2020. Not saying the outcome would be the same, but I think it'd be about as close.
I gotta say, this entire race is just, like, really disgusting. I sat up there and I watched Biden the other day because I can't let him off the hook. I watched this guy the other day, like, speak to Afghan students talking about, I think that we should divest from Israel. We should consider that, divesting from Israel, and not spending the money there because of these things. And we do need to make sure that this incursion has a stopping point. This is after he actually approved the millions to go over there. And then he goes into a pro-Israeli school and says, of course, we're always going to stand pro-Israel.
He's a politician.
Yeah, I was about to say the audience changes. Audience change, speech changes. I mean,
yes,
It's like disgusting. And it's
that's politics 101, though, John.
I
It's
know
making sausage. It's making sausage.
right.
it's
just grind it all up. We don't care what's in there. Yeah.
like, I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro. Well, I mean, besides Kyrie Irving, what do you think? Who do you think is going to win the West? I don't know if you follow Andrew. Do you follow Bulger?
Oh yeah, I was on the edge of my seat until Sunday when the Knicks got eliminated.
Well,
but I didn't think they would get. I didn't think they were going to win the series. But they played. I guess the word would be valiantly or whatever. They played hard, and they just the injuries got to them. But I'll say this: in the West, oh man, Minnesota's D, when they play defense, they hard to beat. But hey, have y'all heard the rumor of them saying that Anthony Edwards is Michael Jordan's son?
Is Jordan's son? Yeah.
Did you ever see the side-by-side picture of them? Like, you ever see? Look at a side. I know it's on the internet somewhere. Look at a side-by-side picture of the two, and tell me if you don't see a resemblance for real.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
Because they were saying that they look alike. Jordan had jump offs in different cities, so
yeah,
you never know. But he looked like him on a side by side, like a side shot. If you look at them, they do look similar, and his athletic prowess maybe just a notch below.
Listen,
maybe a notch below Mike's.
AE is a different animal, bruh.
That's so disrespectful to his mom, though.
I'm just, that's what the internet is saying. But
the internet is full of foul people. Foul people. Damn, y'all.
But if he got Jordan blood in him, there's gonna be at least maybe 2 or 3 championships that come out of Minnesota.
The Mavs are taking him out.
You think so?
Yep.
Well, I wouldn't mind that in a sense, because I would love to see, Jason Kidd, be a coach of a finals team. They won't beat the Celtics, but I think at least he made it to the finals.
Well,
you have 2 black coaches in there.
I know my fellow Net fans will be mad, but I'm still rooting for Kyrie. I think he got a bum deal here in Brooklyn, and all things considered, with everything done, it's not hurting anything. It's not hurting anybody except for your feelings. I would love to see Kyrie hoist that trophy the year after getting traded from Brooklyn. I'm not gonna lie. And also, the other thing about it is that, to me, Luka Doncic is the most reliable offensive weapon left in the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
Edwards got some game, and but he has a tendency to disappear. He's like on the cusp. He's possibly tapping into his Superman. But Luka Doncic shoots jumpers as if he doesn't even see you standing in front of him. And and he's had 3 days off now to heal. And that was like the biggest problem, was that he's been hurting. So now he has 3 days off, and he has the most unstoppable shot, and he's got the Swiss Army knife that is Kyrie Irving playing next to him. And Edwards is going to be covering Irving, not Doncic. By the way, they keep trying to make it a matchup between Doncic and Edwards, but it's actually Irving against Edwards, because they know you got to stop the Swiss Army knife, because he's either going to score on you or he's going to pass the ball to someone who's going to score on you.
But you know what it's going to boil down to, John? I think the role players on Dallas are going to determine whether or not they win. They're the ones who are. I think they're the X factor because Kyrie and Doncic can score whenever they pretty much want to an extent. So it's going to boil down to it when they get double teamed if they're going to make those shots.
So would you like to hear my take on that?
Sure.
They've been double teaming the shit out of Luka and Kyrie all series, all playoffs long, because it's the only way you beat them. And the only thing I keep seeing is them having those role player guys. They know that they have to hit those shots, sure, but they know that they've got plenty of time to hit those shots because the way that these two dudes are passing to them outside of the out of the doubles, they're not just picking the first double to give you the ball. They're picking the double that gives PJ Washington the most time to make a decision, to give Derrick Jones time to set up that 3-point shot. They're just killing them. They're just killing them, and they're the play. Everybody's talking about these guys, Edwards and these guys, but you know what team has the second best record behind the Celtics after the All-Star game? The Dallas Mavericks.
They went in the playoffs hot.
The best team, it's a team that's playing. It's not always the team with the most talent. It's the team that together the best as a team. And Minnesota has not really been playing. Sure, they came through when they had to, but they had to. They went to 7 games and they won it on the road. Dallas, once they figure you out and they get their foot on your neck, they don't let you back up. They don't let you back up. So to me, it's going to be one of those Saturday afternoons at Timberline Park when I got LB and maybe one and I'm just seeing my all afternoon. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to win all these games and send you guys home mad. And that's what I would do. And they're still mad to a certain extent, but I love you, brothers, my Timberline crew. And fellas, 53 minutes, born in trouble. You guys have anything that you'd like to add? Any topic you'd like to cover before we leave? You like to get through?
I did want to say I was remiss because I missed Mac's birthday. We weren't on the air. His birthday was May 10th. Yeah. So as always, posthumous happy birthday to my man, Craig Mack. Always love that cat, man.
A lot of conversations about Craig recently.
Yeah.
Craig is not coming out so bad right now with the whole bad boy situation. What was going on? Somebody said to me, someone asked me, cats, someone tried to test my speed, basically. And was asking about he was like, well, would they say whatever? And I was like, and I just told him, I was like, look, I said, when Craig was out, when the Flavor in the Year was out, Craig would come home, we play 3DO, which would be Speed Fighter, Speed, what is that? Need for Speed, the original Need for Speed, Street Fighter, and what was that? Like Fatal, whatever.
Yeah.
We be playing Mortal Kombat and also some other 3DO shit that came out at the time that was realistic for us that nobody had seen at that point. And if we got horny, we jump into the car and we go to one of the shopping centers and we try to, well, it wasn't really much trying. We'd pick up some women and then we would do whatever, but we won't go into no puffy parties.
Right.
And somebody actually said that one of the falling outs between him and Puff was that supposedly drug usage, wanting to get people to use drugs or use harder drugs than, because we smoke weed like the motherfucker. We smoke weed all day, every day. But it's like that harder stuff that leads to puffy parties. I'm saying nobody was interested. Nobody was involved in that. It just was what it was. It wasn't what we was doing at that point. And he said, yeah, well, this dude told me that basically he didn't go to the parties and I said, yeah, well, that kind of lines up with what I just told you a second ago before you told me that.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't seeing us out there. We were basically, and part of that honestly was because of you, Grant, as you and Craig were really tight.
Yeah.
Y'all were tight.
That's my man's 50 grand.
That's your man 50 grand. And I was more looking out for my brother Grant and looking out for my brother Craig simultaneously by having him in that situation where we could just play video games and get fucked up and go do whatever it was, the dumb stuff while he was here, as opposed to going out to a puffy party. And it just really brings new perspective to different things because, we went to Jermaine Dupree's house, came flying back home, and I forget the name of his assistant at the time, and she met us at the airport and was like, yo, Puff wants to see both of y'all. It was like, both of y'all? You know what I'm saying? I ain't got nothing to do with that shit. Basically, it's just like, that's really, And he's like, nah. And Craig was like adamant. Like, nah, we're not going there. We're not going there. We're going home. We're going home from here. So what was he not saying? He told me a lot of stuff, but he wouldn't talk to me about a lot of that stuff. So it's like much most of the knowledge. What'd you know, Grant? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, my situation was I just knowing Puff from Howard, I didn't like him when he was there. Not that he was a horrible dude. He just wasn't my kind of dude. You know what I mean? So I didn't really deal with him.
Right.
Even when I got the Bad Boy, I didn't deal with him.
Right.
Because I didn't have to.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
and you know
whatever he did, he did it.
And you know what? That's what cats don't get. What you just said, like, just not my type of dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was friends with someone else that was like with him, and we went out. We actually ended up going to a function, a party, a promotion that he had done when this is like a couple of years later.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the night, I was like, "Yeah, just take me back to the crib." You know what I'm saying? It was like because he wasn't my type of dude. It was like you go out for the experience, and it just was what it was. But everybody nowadays, if you have money, everybody is a dude. And I think that's what it is. People don't understand. They can't comprehend how you could draw a line like we were doing back then between personalities. Certain cats you just didn't fuck with. You just like, and it wasn't like it was personal or nothing like that. It's not like when I saw Puff, I wanted to punch him in the face or something. It was just that not your type of dude. Not your type.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's all right.
Yeah. And some of these cats wanted him to be their type. Some of the local cats around here wanted to be those types of dudes. And I was just basically like, nah, you don't get it. And everything. And they'd be like, explain it to me. I'd be like, yo, can't really explain it to you. And I didn't they were buggering people back then. I had no process. I didn't know they were buggering people, but apparently they were. But anyway, fellas, now we've got the whole island. From the 313 podcast. Men, money, and marriage. Is that right?
That's it.
Oh,
313 men, money. You got it right that time.
Oh, shit.
that research pays off.
That's it.
Yeah.
You got it right.
Yeah, there you go. And of course, the City Wind King representing Detroit's finest tonight, Detroit's bravest tonight, Mr. Grant Lancaster.
That's right.
Everybody, listen to our podcast. Listen to the podcast. It should be up soon. Listen to the 313 podcast. We got a lot of great things. Next week, we've got Chocolate Yoda coming in to talk about everything we love about Donald Trump. And Mr. Brooks should be back from his hiatus. Hopefully, he'll be able to make it here. Like I said, he's got a work emergency, and it's something that's going to probably linger all through the year, but hopefully not, wishing him peace. And big shout out to Gene Hopkins, Born in Trouble.
Yes, sir.
Second episode. Peace.
Peace.
Oh, peace.